Welcome back to Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. I'm Magnum Mills, and I'm flying solo this week to break down the 2025 Wyndham Championship. Thank you very much for checking out the show. Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood is presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. We're on social media at Seize the Gap FF. Same place on the web, seizethegapff.com. Very simple, very easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please hit the thumb. We will get into the results from last week's 3M Open in a minute, but I did want to say shout out Happy Gilmore too. It's almost more of a golf movie than the first one is. I think you're definitely going to get a little bit more out of it if you are up on the tour. A lot of cameos here, some very, very good ones. Don't want to spoil anything, but it's out there on Netflix. If you like the first one, yes, I mean, it is what it is. Adam Sandler might have cast one or two too many family members in it, but it was a fun one to watch it with some friends who, I used to watch the original with back in college, that kind of thing. So good time. Go ahead and check out some Happy Gilmore 2 on the Netflix when you get a chance. Shout out Kurt Kitayama. He took down the 3M Open, shot a 60 on moving day, and that was pretty much it. Adam Svensson also shot a 60 on opening day, actually on Thursday, but shot himself in the foot with a 75 on Friday. Akshay Bhatia kind of blew it down the stretch on Sunday. Definitely was in there in contention, but shot a 75, so didn't get it done. Kitayama was in first place at 23 under par. Sam Stevens was your runner-up at 22 under. We had a four-way tie for third between Matt Wallace, David Lipsky, Pierce Campudi, and Jake Knapp at 20 under. We had a three-way tie for seventh place at 19 under par between William Mao, Alex Noren, and Takumi Kanyaya. We had a two-way tie for 10th between Noah Goodwin and Chris Goddard. They were both 18 under par. Other notable names here: Wyndham Clark finished tied for 12th at 17 under. Thorbjorn Olesen tied for 14th at 16 under. Also had a shot in contention, but shot at 73 on Sunday, so didn't get it done. Emiliano Grillo was 15 under. He finished tied for 20th. Akshay Bhatia, mentioned him tanking it on Sunday, tied for 25th, 14 under par. Tied for 28th, you had Tom Kim, Cameron Champ, and Ricky Fowler, all 13 under. Johnny Vegas shot 11 under, tied for 44th. Sam Burns disappointed here, tied for 61st at 8 under. Taylor Pendrith also a disappointment, tied for 68th at 7 under. The cut line wound up being 5 under. Notable names to miss the cut included at 4 under: Andrew Putnam, Hao Tong Lee, Lee Hodges, and Doug Gim. At 3 under, you had Keith Mitchell, Max Grazerman. At 2 under, you had Siwoo Kim and Davis Thompson. Maverick McNeely and Sunjay Im both missed the cut at even par. Michael Thorbjornsen was 3 over, and Tony Finau, big disappointment, shot himself in the foot, both feet, on Friday with a 77, finished 4 over par. The 3M was what it was. Had a good time watching it. Had some family and friends over on Sunday. It was interesting. Even didn't mind watching it with one of my buddies Saturday afternoon. It's going to be kind of a similar event here. You have some players trying to make the FedEx Cup playoffs, but it is not the strongest field, and you're probably looking at a birdie fest. Let's get into the 2025 Wyndham Championship. We are playing the Ross course at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina. This is a par 70 golf course, playing 7,131 yards. The original architect was Donald Ross. Pretty standard stuff. You have 156 golfers in the field, with the top 65 and ties advancing to the weekend. The purse is $8.2 million, with the winner taking home about $1.5 million and 500 FedEx Cup points, which are very, very crucial, especially in the final event before the playoffs. The 2024 champion was Aaron Ryan. He was 18 under par.
I was hoping to squeeze in 9 holes before this rain starts.
Certainly, Your Eminency.
Jamie G is not with us once again this week, so it falls to me to do the forecast. As always, please remember to check for the latest forecast before making any bets, finalizing lineups, that sort of thing. So for Thursday morning lock, make sure you're checking in at least on Wednesday night, if not on Thursday morning. Looks a little bit sketchy, at least early in the week in terms of rain, but I don't think it's going to be that crazy. Might get a little windy on the weekend. Going to start out with a hot one on Thursday, projected high of 88. Medium-ish winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's not bad, but it's going to be partly to mostly cloudy. You have a 60% chance of rain, mostly with scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, so keep an eye on that. Cools down a little bit on Friday, a high of 84, wind staying around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Still another chance of rain here. Call it a coin flip. 50% chance of scattered thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Cooling down on the weekend, but staying drier on Saturday. The projected high is down to 76 degrees. Winds are picking up into the 10 to 15 mile per hour range. Partly cloudy skies. Not going to be a great one out there, but should be a nice relief from some of the hot ones we've had recently. And then finally on Sunday, maybe the best day of the bunch, high of 78 degrees, partly cloudy, wind still 10 to 15 miles an hour. So keep an eye on that, but probably the best of the bunch. Does not look like the wind will be much of a factor on Thursday and Friday, so you can probably throw out the need to do any wave stacking there. Could be something to pay attention to if you are doing showdown contest on Saturday or Sunday, or making any single round wagers on the weekend. So keep an eye on it there. A little bit of rain might come in on the afternoon. It is what it is. Perhaps maybe a couple golfers get lucky if the course plays a little bit softer for a hot minute and the greens are a touch more receptive. You don't really need the distance here on such a short track, so I don't think it's really going to be a factor. It's very nice to not have to worry about the weather too much. But as always, I want to remind you to keep an eye on it because things can and will change on a dime sometimes. But at least we are not on the ocean here, not right there. We are in lovely Greensboro, North Carolina. As far as my overall thoughts on the Wyndham Championship, pay a little bit of attention to the FedEx Cup standings when you're setting your DK lineups and making your wagers. It's not that people in the tournament aren't going to try, but guys that are right on the edge of making the playoffs are certainly going to be motivated to give it all that they can. There have been a couple of withdrawals here, so make sure you pay attention. Most notably, Wyndham Clark and Johnny Vegas. If your plan was to play Wyndham at the Wyndham, sorry, no soup for you in this event. This is a Don Ross design with Bermuda greens, a very repeatable spot for success. We've seen some straight course horses here. Webb Simpson probably being the most notable one, given that he did name his daughter Wyndham. He's had so much success here. It's a Don Ross track. You need to find the fairways, get up and down when necessary. But if you can find the right parts of the green, you get the putter rolling well on these Bermuda greens and you can make some birdies. So we're probably going to see something pretty close to a birdie fest. Over the last 9 seasons, the winning total has been somewhere between 20 under and 22 under 7 of the 9 times. Only 2 times it wasn't was last year, Aaron Rai 18 under, and then Kevin Kisner took it down in 2021 at 15 under. I'm expecting, 20 under or below this week. So just something to keep an eye on there when you're building your DK lineups, or if you're looking to get a tournament wager in as far as the winning total. Mentioned it at the top, not a great field by any stretch. I think you've got some fine wagering opportunities here because it's a pretty wide open field. Be a little bit cognizant of the chalk on DK. There are a couple guys that just look really, really good here, and it's hard to avoid them. So you're at least going to want to be careful with your usage in tournaments. And this is another spot, potential birdie fest. You're going to need to concentrate on ceiling. Just grinding cuts isn't going to do it here. If you really want to make some money on DraftKings, you're going to need a couple guys in the top 5 with the winner, and even to get a long shot guy there in the top 10, top 20. You really can't be grinding out with a couple guys who finish tied for 40 if there's something here. So you got to swing for the fences when you are making your lineups, and don't be afraid to take a couple longer shots on your wagering card this week. Let's get into our DraftKings picks for the Wyndham. Speaking of grinding, we were grinding last week. We got all of our top 5 recommendations through the cup, but really didn't do anything. Nobody finished in the top 10. Joseph Brandlet, the dumpster dive from the dock, was probably our best play, but again, nothing to write home about. Might have helped you out in some cash game formats, head to head, that kind of thing, but nothing we told you probably helped you in any tournament format. So we need to do better this week. We're going to try to do so. Once again, handing out our top 5 plays over on DraftKings for the Wyndham Championship. At number 5, we have Max Grazerman. He's $8,200, projecting for about 8% ownership, plus 5,000 odds to win the tournament, according to the DK Sportsbook. Only came in 57th in our model, but he finished second here last year, and he finished 5th in our Donald Ross putting metric and 3rd in our Birdie Fest metric. So even though the main model doesn't love him that much, you can look at the history here. You can look at the other models and see how he could get it done. Also finished 22nd in strokes gained on the comp, the similar correlated courses. Three straight missed cuts, but before that, he had a tied for second at the Rocket Classic. Before that, he'd made nine straight cuts. Most of the trouble here came across the pond, the Scottish Open, the Open, and then coming back for the 3M. Tough 3 week stretch, so I'm not really going to hold that against him. The ball striking can be streaky, but the upside is there. And again, that's what you want this week. It is a ceiling week, not a floor week. We'll call Lil John when it's a window to the wall week, but right now it is a ceiling week. Our number 4 recommendation for DK is Denny McCarthy. He is 8,100, projecting for about 12% ownership, plus 5,500 to win the tournament. Came in 24th in the model. Maybe a course horse, maybe not the best in the field, but solid history here. Last 6 times he's played here, he's finished 33rd, miscut, 15th, 9th, and 22nd. Great with his wedges, but he really makes the cut because of his putter and his history here. He's second in strokes gained putting on Bermuda greens, 8th in strokes gained at Sedgefield, 5th in strokes gained on the comp courses, and first in our Donald Ross putting metric. Lots of like there. He's another guy coming off 2 missed cuts at the Scottish Open and the Open Championship, but the 2 weeks before that, he finished 11th and 12th. I generally regard him more of a high floor player, but I think this is a track that suits him perfectly, and he can truly contend here. And I think at this price and ownership combo, he's pretty much playable in all formats. At number 3, our most expensive guy in the top 5 this week, we have Ben Griffin, $10,100 salary on DraftKings, projecting for about 21% ownership, plus 2,500 to win the tournament. Some of the shortest odds on the board. Came in 7th in our model. He's finished 7th, missed the cut, and 4th here the last 3 years. He is an outstanding ball striker who thrives in these birdie fest type of situations. 2 straight missed cuts, but finished between 1st and 14th in his 6 events prior to that. Again, missed the cut at the Open. Came back, struggled last week, but that can happen. Coming back, all that traveling, definitely not going to hold it against him. Putter isn't always perfect, but Bermuda is by far his best putting surface. He's 5th in strokes gained at Sedgefield and 6th in strokes gained on the similar and correlated courses. He's at 3rd because he definitely has a chance to be the most owned player this week. I think you can lock him into your cash game lineups, go really heavy on him in single entry tournaments. But when you're playing a large field, you're going to want to be careful. Yes, you want exposure to him, but you're going to have to be careful who you pair him with, especially because he is one of the pricier golfers in the field. You're going to see him very commonly played with a couple of guys in that low 7K range. So just make sure if you're getting him in there, you find other ways to differentiate your lineup. He is 7th in the FedEx Cup standings. So this is pretty much just a tune-up here, but a good finish could certainly help his Ryder Cup case. So keep an eye on Ben Griffin despite the price tag and the ownership here. At number 2, we're going to take a chance on Akshay Bhatia, 9,000 flat, projecting for about 10% ownership at plus 3,000 odds to win the tournament. He sucked it up on Sunday last week, but he came in 1st in our model and 16th in our Birdie Fest metric. He's played here 4 times, missed the cut every time, so you can't say that he is a course horse. He is probably more of a course donkey, but he has top 30 finishes in his last 3 events, and he was right there in contention until that poor showing on Sunday last week. He's 1st in the field in strokes gained approach, 4th in opportunities gained. Excellent proximity numbers, 14th on par 4s between 400 and 450 yards. There's a bunch of those on this course, so that's very nice that he is 14th in strokes gained on those, 25th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda greens, and 15th in strokes gained on the comp and similar courses here. Lot to like, especially in a tournament. I do not know that he's going to make it into my primary cash game lineup, but I'm going to be way over the 10% on him in tournaments. I'm going to go against the grain here. I love the ownership, and I think the price is going to keep it even lower. Wouldn't surprise me to see him come in more in that 6-7% range when it's all said and done. At number 1 this week, the number 1 stunner, we're going with our buddy, our guy, Bud Cauley, $7,500 salary, projecting for only about 11% ownership at plus 7,000 odds to win the golf tournament. Came in 4th in our model. He has 2 top 25 finishes in his last 3 appearances here. Another dude who is right at home in a birdie fest, has 4 top 6 finishes this season. Just kind of looking for him to close the deal, but he's shown the kind of upside we're looking for here. Missed the cut at the Open and the US Open, but other than that, is only missed 1 cut all year. So even if they're going low here, I feel confident he can get to the weekend and possibly make some noise. He is definitely a boom or bust player, but once again, he is the kind of upside that we're looking for here. 4th in strokes gained approach, 15th in strokes gained, opportunities gained, first in proximity from 100 to 125 yards. You're going to have a lot of approach shots from that range on this shorter golf course. 20th in good drives on short courses, so he's going to put himself in position to hit those wedges. 14th in strokes gained at Sedgefield, and 25th in strokes gained on these similar and correlated courses. Nice profile there. Love the price tag. Only about 11% ownership, so pretty much checking all the boxes we need this week. So those are our top 5 recommendations for DraftKings this week. At number 1, Bud Cauley, $7,500. At 2, Akshay Bhatia, $9,000. At 3, Ben Griffin, $10,100. At number 4, Denny McCarthy, $8,100 on DK. And at number 5, Max Grazerman, $8,200 salary on DraftKings. At least we don't have to think about paying up to $14K for Scotty Scheffler this week, but that doesn't mean that we don't need some value. And luckily, we got a guy for that.
Take it from me. I am a doctor. Dr. Toboggan. Mantis Toboggan.
That's right. This is our guy, Dr. Mantis Toboggan. When you need to go diving in the dumpster for some value, the doc is the man to talk to. He's trying to do it for us again this week. He wrote some stuff down on the prescription pad. His handwriting is not the best. He is a doctor who operates in an alley after all, but I think I can read what he is wrote down for us here. First up, the doc's trying to save us some money with Matteo Manassero. He is only $6,500, projecting for about 3% ownership, plus 20,000 to win. So not a big expectation that he is going to win. But what does he need to do for you at 6,500? He can get you that top 20, and that's what you need here. Came in 28th in our model. No history here. Missed the cut across the pond in the Opens, but did finish tied for 6th at his prior tour event, the Canadian Open. Great ball striker who is at his best in a birdie fest. 18th in strokes gain approach. 3rd in strokes gain on those par 4s between 400 and 450 yards. Top 10 in strokes gain from the proximity between 125 and 175 yards. Again, you're going to have a lot of approaches in that range this week. Outstanding tournament play, probably not going to make my cash game lineup, but at 6,500, he's probably about as low as I'm looking to go this week. So I like what the doc's putting down so far. Next, the doc's going to go with some of the old heads. He's first up, Matt Kuchar, 7,000 flat, projecting for about 5% ownership at plus 9,000. Came in 49th in the model, but 4th in our Donald Ross putting metric. Finished 12th, 38th, and 29 in his last 3 finishes here. Really leaning more on his history here than his overall performance. He does have top 25 finishes in 2 of his last 3 events. That includes a tied for 5th at the John Deere in his last event before this. His irons have been a bit better. He is 14th in strokes gained in proximity from 100 to 125 yards, 11th on strokes gained putting on Bermuda greens, and 10th in strokes gained at Sedgefield. So I get why the doc's going with the old head. And of course, the doc loves with some narrative street, so he's got Webb Simpson on the list too. He's 7K as well, only projecting for about 2% ownership at 8,000 to win the tournament. 98th in the model, definitely a course horse. Last 5 finishes here, missed the cut before that, 5th, 7th, 3rd, and 5th. We have seen guys who have basically done nothing show out here and play very well, so it's not impossible that he does so. He is number 1 overall in strokes gained at Sedgefield. Irons have been decent lately. It's really been around and on the greens. It's a short game that has hurt him, and given his comfort level with this course, I'm not really worried about that. So I see what the doc's thinking here. I don't know if Webb's in contention, but it would absolutely shock you if he finished at top 10 or something. Not at all. And 7,000, 2%. I think you can put me down for that. I don't know if I'm going to play him and Kuchar in the same lineup, but I get what the doc is doing. And then he's got one more for us, and this is one of our guys, Gary Woodland, also 7,000 flat, projecting for about 4% ownership, plus 10,000 to win the tournament. Came in 36th in the model, 33rd in our Don Ross putting metric, 29th in our Birdie Fest metric. He's finished 28th and 27th here the last 2 years, 29th in strokes gain approach. Absolutely outstanding in the strokes gain proximity between 125, 175 yards. Definitely profiles as a Bob, a boom, or bust player, but he's been grinding out cuts recently, so you're kind of just waiting for it all to come together. And for him, it usually comes down to the short game, but I think this is about as good as it gets in terms of a setup for Woodland. So I really like his upside here. So once again, I think Dr. Bogan is hooking us up. The dumpster dives are Matteo Manassero at 6,500, Matt Kuchar at 7,000, Webb Simpson at 7,000, and Gary Woodland also 7,000.
Say, $50 the Smales kid picks his nose. Okay.
As we get into the wagers, as always, I want to remind you to check around, make sure you are getting the best odds on your wager. Check the sports books available to you in your state. Also, make sure you're not missing out on any boosts, bonuses, all that good stuff that they are handing out. Probably going to be some of that coming up with the FedEx Cup playoffs on tap, so make sure you're checking that out. We're not affiliated with DraftKings, but we are getting our odds and wagers from the DK Sportsbook, and everything is accurate as of Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. And you should know here on Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood, all of our wagers are in our preferred currency, the cricket coin. In cricket we trust. Make sure you are checking out season 17 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on FX, FXX, and Hulu. Keeping the card a little bit tighter this week, we have 4 weekly wagers. We're leading off with those. These are generally your finishing position wagers, make the cut, that sort of thing, couple of tournament props, what have you. First up, we're just going with a few top 10s. We have Ben Griffin to finish in the top 10 plus ties. That's plus 260. So if you throw 100 coins on it, you're bringing back 360. And also going with Akshay Bhatia, top 10 plus ties. He's plus 330. So 100 brings you back 430. Same thing with Bud Cauley, just kind of recycling our favorite DK plays here. Top 10 plus ties for Cauley is plus 550. So 100 cricket coin wager brings you back 650 coins. And then we're going to go a little bit longer here. This event has a history of playoffs. I was going to get greedy and go for a 3 or 4 man playoff, but I'm just going to go with, yes, there will be a playoff that is plus 350. So 100 cricket coins returns 450 if we get a playoff. Doesn't matter if it's 2 man, up to 6 man, what have you. If there's a playoff, we're taking it down. Next up, we have a couple of matchup wagers. The menu wasn't terribly populated when we were doing these, so just have 3 tournament groups. These are groups of 5 golfers. You have to pick the best of the bunch. If there is a tie, dead heat rules apply. In the first group, we have Matt Fitzpatrick at plus 280, Keegan Bradley at plus 300, Ben Griffin at plus 330, Robert McIntyre at plus 360, and Jordan Spieth at plus 400. Definitely like Keegs here, but we're going to roll with Ben Griffin at plus 330. Favorite golfer in the field this week, so 100 coins on Griffin returns 430 if he's the best of this 5. And next up in our second tournament group, we have Ricky Fowler at plus 320, Michael Thorbjornsen at plus 330, Cameron Young at plus 330, Sam Stevens at plus 330, and Max Grazerman at plus 360. Love Grazerman here, taking that all day plus 360. So 100 coins brings you back 460 if Grazerman can take this one down. And finally, in our third tournament group, we have Denny McCarthy at plus 300, JT Poston at plus 300, Nikolai Hogard at plus 330, Matt Wallace at plus 360, and Thorbjorn Olesen at plus 360. We are sticking with our guys, so we're rolling with Denny McCarthy at plus 300. He is the shortest of the group, but not much of a spread here between the plus 300 and the plus 360, so we like that. If McCarthy takes it down, we turn 100 coins into 400 cricket coins. It is time to get the party started. So we're checking in at the parlay partay. Beware, this is a dangerous zone to live in. Parlays are always a very dangerous business, no matter what sport you're wagering. But in golf, they're even more treacherous. So wager discretion is advised. Only have one for the partay this week. We're going with a 3-leg top 20 plus ties parlay. So all 3 of these golfers must finish tied for 20th or better to take it down. You're not going to be surprised by the names. We have Ben Griffin at plus 130, Denny McCarthy at plus 220, and Bud Cauley at plus 250. Your odds when you parlay those 3 legs together are plus 2,476. So 100 cricket coin wager would bring you back 2,576 coins. That is not too shabby and would make for an excellent partay. We have more games at the parlay partay. We also like to play something we call Let Me Ride. This is a bankroll management contest where we're trying to figure out our best approach to wagering on golf. Do you want to try to go slow and steady, or do you want to go big or go home? The rules are pretty simple. I'm playing with Jamie G. We each start with 100 cricket coins. Each week, we have to make a single wager on the tournament we are discussing, and we have to bet our entire roll on it. We keep going until someone hits 1,000 cricket coins. If they get there, they win the round. If you miss, you go back to 100, start again, you get a strike. Strikes are bad because if the season ends and the round is still in progress, whoever has fewer strikes is the winner by default. Last week, Jamie G has 340 coins. He had one win in a row. He's trying to keep it going with Sam Burns. He had Sam Burns to finish in the top 20 plus ties. That was minus 105. Unfortunately, Mr. Burns finished tied for 61st, so Jamie G picks up a strike. I went with Cam Champ to finish in the top 10 plus ties. I had 100 cricket coins. It was plus 450. Unfortunately, Cam Champ finished tied for 28, so I also picked up a strike. That means Jamie G and I are both back at 100 cricket coins with 3 strikes, but I have won 2 rounds while he has won 0 rounds. I have his picks. He is going to do the thing he likes to do. He is a fan of the slow and steady. He is going with 100 cricket coins on Ben Griffin to finish in the top 20 plus ties. That's plus 130, so 100 coins to bring back 230. I'm going to be slightly more aggressive, but not as aggressive as I usually am. I'm going to put 100 cricket coins on Gary Woodland to finish in the top 20 plus ties. That's plus 330, so 100 coins to bring back 430. I think Woodland's won me a big one before. I think I had a top 5 for him, so maybe I'm going back to the well, but I think this is the week to do it. That brings us to the final section of the program, our one and done recommendations and contest picks. Didn't hit them all last week. If you were up top, we probably didn't help you, but we said if you were way behind, you should take Kurt Kitayama. He did win the golf tournament, so I think we can at least call it a draw. They weren't all hits, but hitting at least one home run on the longer shot there, I think gets you a little something, something at least. Let's see if we can do a bit better this week for the Wyndham Championship. Again, pretty much 4 events left in your one and done contest. So if you're way behind, you might be drawing dead, but you're going to have to get pretty crazy. And we're going to give you a couple picks based on where you are at in your contest at this point. But again, be very, very aggressive unless you are near the very, very top of your contest. And as far as they smoke them, if you got them, no matter where you are, if you have Ben Griffin left, I think you roll him here, plus 2,500. He's been used in a ton of contests, so it doesn't really matter where you're at. If you're behind and only 5% of the people can use him, that's fine. That'll do it for you. He was so hot earlier. Most of the contests I'm in, he is undershipped under 10%. Don't think you'll use him during the FedEx Cup playoffs, so feel free to roll Ben Griffin here. If you're near the top of your contest, I mentioned it before, Keegan Bradley is plus 2,500 to win. Did come in 6th in our model, finished tied for 22nd here last year, trying to play his way into an automatic Ryder Cup bid so he doesn't have to pick himself as a player captain, but we'll see how it goes for Keegs. And then Aaron Rye plus 3,000. He's a defending champ, came in 8th in the model. You're not going to use him anywhere else, but he's a good as anybody here. Not liking him so much on DK because of the tag and the ownership, but works well in the one and done situation. And then finally, Siwoo Kim, he is plus 4,000 to win. Came in 16th in the model, 3 top 5 finishes in the last 6 years here. Came in 9th in our Birdie Fest metric. A little bit of a boom or bust play, but does have the upside you're looking for here in the one and done. Again, the winner's only taken home about 1.5 million, so finishing tied for 10th isn't going to get it done. Go big or go home. If you're kind of stuck in the middle, you can go with either of our DK guys that are right there in that low 8K range. Max Greiserman plus 5,000 to win, and Denny McCarthy plus 5,500 to win. And if you are doing the Candlebox thing, you are way behind. You are far behind. Consider Bud Colley at plus 7,000, Tom Kim at plus 7,000, or Austin Eckroat at plus 11,000. Do like Eckroat. He is picking up a ton of ownership on DK, but for good reason. Came in 3rd in the model, 17th in our Birdie Fest metric, and finished tied for 6th here last year. So not a bad way to go here in the one and done, or perhaps think about getting some wagers in on Mr. Eckroat. Finally, we have to give out our contest picks for our Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood one and done contest. Jamie G is up top. Last week, he went with Maverick McNeely, who did the Sporty Thieves thing. He ain't getting nada because he missed the cut. I went with Mr. Burns, knowing Jamie G did not have him left. He disappointed, finishing tied for 61st. Only brought me home about 18K. So Jamie G is still right around 6.4 million. I am right around 5 million. So Jamie G is still up by about 1.4 million. I need to find a way to move move the needle here. Jamie G is once again going to eat the chalk, maybe not the super chalk, but he is going with Siwoo Kim plus 4,000. He did have Matsuyama available, haven't mentioned him, not really going to trust him too much this week. He said he also did consider Harry Hall, but he is going with Siwoo Kim, and I am actually going to go with Keegan Bradley. He is actually the best player available on the board for me in terms of odds. Bhatia probably would have been my other primary consideration here, but that's who we're rolling with. Jamie G as Siwoo Kim, and I have Keegan Bradley. And you have been checking out Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. Thank you very much for doing so. Good luck to you this week in your DK lineups, your tournaments, your wagers, whatever you're doing, watching the game, having fun. Hope you enjoyed it just like you enjoyed this. We are presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Once again, you can find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We're on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS, very crucial to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please hit the thumb. I'm Magnum Mills on behalf of myself and Jamie G. Hit them well, bet them well, do them well, be swell. We'll see you next time. If you find us at the 19th hole, don't be afraid to send us a beer. Cheers.
Did